I'm building a huge nether lab in my Minecraft survival world. In addition to the fun theme, it will be a place to store ancient debris and netherite ingots and upgrade my gear into netherite gear. This is the last episode for season 1, and I wanted to end with a flare. You see, I'm waiting on the next Minecraft update before I explore further out into the world and go to the end, so this seems like a great way to make progress in the world while still waiting for that update. Full netherite gear. I've decided on this hill between my village trading town and my farming homestead. I still want it to be in the medieval theme, but I also want it to stand out and feel unique from all the other buildings in the world around it. To do that, I plan on adding a bit of a steampunk embellishment to play on the lab theme. I think it's time to get building. I'm so happy with the way this build turned out. It has such a curious and intriguing feel to it. After I finished the building, I even built up a few farms, a small house, trees, landscape elements to help fill in the world. You might also have noticed a big sign out front. I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. Come first with me, let's go take a look inside. The entrance is over here on the side of the building, right by the path. And as you go up inside, there's sort of an entry room. And I love the way that this has a feel kind of like an office lobby area. Pictures on the wall. Oh, and of course the netherite block on display. I also put a full set of gold armor in here because it relates to going to the Nether so the piglins don't attack. But the real lab is stepping through this entrance into the big main dome. I love the view of the ceiling just anywhere in this room as you look up, tall and a little bit imposing. And right in the middle of the room is another portal. It's not finished. Some of the blocks are nearby and it's being held together because they're studying it. Then around the room are a lot of different things to remind you both of lab work and of the Nether. I put some bubble columns in here just to give the room some movement, and I used a ton of the mini blocks. I really like the way that they looked like small bits of elements that were being studied from the Nether. There's books for research and machines for studies, just all kinds of cute things. Through the little room in here, I just put a bunch of basalt. It's like a storage room for things that are coming up next. Of course, the room needed to have a bench so that I could actually craft netherite in here along with the furnace. Now what I need to do is go actually get the ancient debris so I can smelt it into netherite and make all my stuff awesome. Last week I got the flu and was super sick all week. In fact, I was sick for almost 2 weeks. So what do you do when you're sick? Well, you grind away in Minecraft, of course. It's time I upgrade everything to netherite. So I chose to experiment with the 3 commonly used methods to determine which one I liked most. The first method is strip mining. You just get a really good pickaxe and you go in a big long line, and I use a shovel too so I can go through any sand or anything else that comes in the way. And then you go sideways and pick a big old swath out as best as you can from one side and the other. When you do this, it gives you the view of the largest area possible for the space that you're working in, and when you find the netherite, you can just jump in and grab it. I've used this method a lot in the past because it allows me to get a lot of other things I need while I'm down there. I'm not just looking for ancient debris. If I need to get a bunch of quartz, it's easy to dig out every vein that I see, and I do need a lot of that for upcoming builds in the future. Digging out all of the quartz and gold also gives you experience, which fixes the pickaxe as long as you have mending on it, which allows you to keep going much further, although I do often bring 2 pickaxes with me when I'm down here. The biggest thing to watch out for, of course, is the lava, but as long as you're paying attention to where you're going, for the most part it's easy just to dig a hole so that the lava flows down into something away from you when you're digging, and it actually provides good light while you're working, so I don't mind having some of it there. The only place for mobs to spawn is in that 1x2 path that you dig at the beginning, so I find that there are very few mobs that spawn, and this is a very peaceful way to mine ancient debris. The second way is much more explosive. I'm headed into my wool farm to get a bunch of wool, and then I'm gonna dig a small little hole, just a 1x1. You stand back and click the bed and it explodes, which gives you this big giant hole. You take a little bit of damage, but as long as you're wearing armor, it's really fine. You don't take enough damage to be a big deal as long as you have food to eat. I find that this method is very silly in a good way. It's kind of entertaining. It's fun to do at least a little bit from here. And I think that it's pretty fast to do as long as you have a wool farm already going in your world the way that I do. The wool farm is something I almost always put together, at least a small one, for other reasons, for decorating blocks and such. So having wool on hand means that it only took me a few minutes to grab some wood to make up the beds. I spent about 20 minutes getting wood to put together the beds, and the rest of the time was spent mining in the Nether. I probably picked a little bit of a tricky spot or just got a little unlucky. I didn't get as much as I usually see doing this method, but to be fair, I haven't done the bed method very much or very often or for very long periods of time, so it was fun doing a full 2 hours of this just to see what I got. Just remember to stand back and make sure your feet are below a block when you kick the bed, otherwise it'll definitely kill you or do a ton of damage. The last method that I'm testing is TNT. The biggest problem with that is that you need a ton of gunpowder and sand to make the TNT, which can take a long time to gather in your world. I'm spending a full 2 hours on each method to see which one I enjoy doing, and while other people have tested different methods, they'll spend a bunch of time gathering supplies and then they'll do the method for a period of time, and that's just backwards to me. I want to know how much I'm going to get for the same amount of time spent. So I included the time it took for me to gather the sand, and then I just used up all of the gunpowder I already had on hand. After digging a big long hole, you put the TNT down every 2 or 3 blocks apart, and then you stand back and get ready for the explosion. I've seen people do this method before on other videos and streams, but to be honest, I haven't done much of this method myself, not in any bulk or longer period of time. So this was definitely the biggest test that I was doing. And I found that digging the sand was annoying, but watching the explosion was kind of fun. You have to go running after everything after you light it so that you can kind of make sure you keep up with the explosions, and I found that it went lower than I expected, but it was very entertaining. I think one of the biggest benefits is that it opens up so you can see a lot of other resources like the quartz and the gold and black stone, gravel if you're looking for it, so that it's pretty easy to find and dig out. At the same time, that's actually a little bit of a downside because it blows up everything that's in the middle of the room. So if there was a lot of stuff inside the space that was blown up, it's all blown up, except for of course the ancient debris, which stands out. It was really nice not to have fire everywhere like you do with the bed method, but that also meant there was a lot more mobs spawning. I also found that most of my ancient debris was up higher in the ceiling, and it was kind of annoying to pillar up to get it all, but it was fun. It was more fun than I expected to just go blowing holes all up through the Nether. After 2 full hours on each of the 3 methods, the results are in. In my first chest down here, this is what I got strip mining. You'll see I've got the gold, I've made it into blocks, the quartz made into blocks as well. I find that the gravel and the blackstone are very valuable, and of course, 34 ancient debris. With the second method, you can see the beds didn't provide nearly as much of the ancient debris, but I did get a lot of other really good resources, and I ran into a vein of magma blocks, which was really nice. I dug those out too because I'll need them in the future. The 14 ancient debris could be a little bit of luck, but some of that was the time it took to gather resources before actually getting to the part where you're blowing things up. The biggest surprise was my third chest here, and this of course was the TNT with 18 blocks of ancient debris, which was good, but again, not nearly as much as the 34 I got from just digging through during the same amount of time. This one, no doubt, was impacted by adding the time it took to gather up all the sand and supplies. Unless I for some reason have a lot of extra TNT, because that method was kind of fun, I will probably just strip mine in the future anytime I need to find netherite. I smelted up the debris, crafted the netherite ingots, copied the smithing template I found by tearing down the bastion, upgraded everything, and now I look amazing. Do you remember that sign out front in front of the lab? It's my new project board for this world. I'm adding everything I'm looking forward to doing and building in Season 2. If there's something you would like to see me do, just let me know in the comments below. I'd love to get your guys' input, as well as all the things that are on my list that I'll be adding to the board shortly. This is the last episode for Season 1 in this new world. Thank you for all the support and kindness you guys have shared on this journey so far. Season 2 will start back up immediately after the next 1.21 launches. I can't wait for that day. I'll get this world prepared for the new blocks and the new adventures, and I may show you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of my preparations. Until then, I wish you all the best. Minecraft Day.